and welcome to the second and concluding part on my Fresh Prince of Belair special. Ashley Banks. My first childhood crush. Going from the cute little girl who hung around Will to this stunning, beautiful, young, intelligent woman. She was mostly the good child of the group, but she also had her moments.
Hey there, Lord, my name is Ashley Banks. My family and friends want to give you some thanks. So before this dinner's all swallowed and chewed, thank you, God, for this stupid food.
Yo, Will, what's wrong, man?
She literally grew up on the show and she had a number of firsts, including her first on-screen kiss. She had two notable boyfriends on the show, the first being Little T, played by R&B singer Tevin Campbell, who was her first actual on-screen date. And then there was Jaleel Wright, Steve Urkel from Family Matters. Whoa, the dude became a stud? He almost became Ashley's first love quest until she decided she wasn't ready. And then let's not forget the time that she sang on the show. And after all these years, she is still a stunningly beautiful woman. Then you have Vivian. Now the character of Vivian is quite the story. It's the tale of two Vivians. First with the OG Vivian, played by Janet Hubert-Whitten, and of the two she was my personal favourite. A strong, smart, intelligent black woman who was a college professor. She knew how to dance. She knew how to put the kids in their place when they stepped out of line. She was not afraid to stand up for herself and speak her mind when she was provoked.
Would you please sit down? We're busy now.
Oh, honey, we're about to get very busy.
She was a loving, caring wife to Philip and wasn't afraid to put him in his place if he didn't toe the line as well.
Philip, baby, if Mr. Goodwrench wants to visit Mrs. Toolbox, you better get Mr. Water running.
I remember watching an episode of Fresh Prince from season 4 and seeing a different Vivian, and said to myself, what happened to your Vivian? Now remember, this was at a time when Google, IMDb and social media weren't around, so it was not massive public knowledge. Over time, we came to find out that she had left the show after not liking a new deal that was put in place due to the terms being less than her previous deal. So the role was recast and along came Daphne Maxwell Reid. Now an interesting little fact about this.
I didn't go to the audition in 1990 because they said, oh, we want you to audition for this new sitcom with a rapper. I said, pass. I watched this show come on in September. I said, oh, damn, that's cute.
Well, I think we all agree it worked out well in the end. She initially made her debut in the opener for season 4, and after Jazz makes a comment about her looking different, cue the camera moving to Will, breaking the fourth wall there. Just came off as a new wife and a new mother and a new aunt to the show. She did her best to fill the boots of Janet, and she also had her moments on the show. But to me, it just felt like a completely different character. But that said, she did fit in very well. Now on a side note, the departure of Janet was kept on the hush by the cast members, but Janet would publicly call out Will and voice her displeasure about what had happened on the show. Now it wasn't until the recent Fresh Prince of Belair reunion show that everything would come to a head. Janet and Will finally had a one-on-one to air out their differences, and it was quite the tearjerker with a very happy reconciliation. And the icing on the cake? The first ever meeting between Janet and Daphne, which was so moving to see, and watching them side by side, it really did come full circle. Back to the remaining characters. You had Jeffrey the Butler, one of my favourite characters on the show. His dry sense of humour and great one-liners made him an absolute standout in the show. I felt he more than matched Will when it came to his funny one-liners.
Dinner is served. A wop babalooba balop bam boom. I'm pleased that I've amused you, Master William. It is the least I can do, given the hours of merriment I have derived from looking at the remarkable way your ears protrude from your head.
Shake your groove thing.
If that's a groove, the Grand Canyon's a ditch.
As he was largely a side character, he didn't really have many storylines that revolved around him. He did, however, have that one story where he dated Naomi Campbell. How did that happen? And then there was that story about his son that came to visit him, played by actor Craig Kirkwood, whose English accent falls very, very flat.
I think it sounds like a ripping good time. Say, do you have any Tom Jones records?
And then there was Jazz, Will's pal from Philly. He comes off as very aloof, sarcastic, and not the sharpest knife in the drawer. His main trademarks were trying to get with Hillary, which failed over and over again. He almost did get her to like him when he stood up for her after being bossed around by Hillary's boss. What? They made out? Oh yes, of course, just a dream sequence. It's the only chance Jazz had of ever hooking up with her anyway. Then there was his constant jabs at Uncle Phil, which often led to the very infamous He had Baby Nicky. Now, his appearance on the show was very meta. I mean, in season 4, he's still a young infant, and come the beginning of season 5, he's already 5 years old? I mean, come on now, this is a sitcom, not a sci-fi flick. I had a shock when I saw this picture. I mean, Baby Nicky got a little Nicky of his own. That is just so depressing to hear. Nah, only kidding. Congrats on the success, Ross Begley. And then finally, there was the man who was the heart and soul of the show, Uncle Phil, played by the late great James Avery. Will may have been the show's lead, but Uncle Phil more than played his part to elevate the show. He had a great sense of comedic timing. He had a larger-than-life persona, so when he was angry and serious, things were about to hit the fan.
Well, speaking as a lawyer, I can only say that your daughter suits the criminal profile to a T. Right down to the low-sloping forehead and the wide jaw suitable for grains and small rodents.
We never got the clasp fixed on Mom's bracelet.
You never got the... And you do. What do you boys think I should do?
I don't know. Reward us for our honesty? Hey, it worked for the beef.
Do I look like a white guy named Warren?
James Avery, for hardcore fans, voiced a very familiar, iconic cartoon villain. It's funny because I remember looking at the end credits for Turtles and the name James Avery stuck out. Again, this was before the internet as it stands today. Then I remember seeing his name in the opening credits of Fresh Prince and then thinking to myself, James Avery, who was in the Turtles? As who? It wasn't any of the Turtles, it wasn't Krang, Bebop or Rocksteady.
You passed your test with flying colors, but you may call me the Shredder.
Oh yes, he was the Shredder.
Well, it's true, because, I did Fresh Prince for a long time, and whenever I'd go somewhere, somebody had done research and they found out that I was the voice of Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah!
Just to add to his impressive CV, he was also the voice of James Rhodes, aka War Machine, in the '94 Iron Man animated series. Tragically, James passed away on December 31st, 2013 due to complications from open heart surgery. He was deservedly celebrated on the reunion show. To say The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of the greatest sitcoms ever almost sounds redundant at this point. I mean, since the show ended in 96, it got replayed for years and years and created newer generations of fans, and shows just how massive an impact and a great legacy that it has left on this world. Add to that the insane popularity of Will Smith, and Fresh Prince just continues to endure to this very day. There were so many life lessons that could be taken from the show from a cultural and character standpoint. It was a sitcom with family drama, tons and tons of laugh out loud moments, and just a good all-round entertainment experience. It's a sitcom that I have personally watched over and over again without really losing any interest. So the show may be called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but to me, it is the undisputed king of the sitcom.